Wimbledon, as well as gymnastics and some of the Olympic events coming up, some residue off of Copa and the big disappointment of Argentina, as well as Euro soccer coming up later this week. But all eyes on the first place, I love saying that, Baltimore Orioles as they head west to San Diego, a little town with a cafe where they play guitars all night and all day. This guy has covered the Padres. He's seen a lot of bad baseball, and certainly this year, no exception to that rule. Longtime Padre beat writer and contributor to thepadres.com and the Friar Wire. Always great to get to the middle with Bill Center at Padres Central out on Twitter. And Bill, I know this time last year we were talking about the disappointment of the offseason and all the acquisitions. This is even like a further residue down the line for, I like to call them my Padres because I was spotted in my Tony Gwynn jersey at Camden Yards last week. I'm a closet Padres fan, and this is, it's sort of painful to watch them never be any good, man.
Right. Well, they're going through a major transition right now, and I think that after the All-Star break, we'll see some movement. We'll see what a lot of teams have done. I would imagine they're going to try to move some outfielders, maybe a catcher, and start the rebuilding process, which has already restarted a little bit with Will Myers. So I think this is a major transition time for the Padres.
Well, there's so many things, so much meat on the bone here. I guess the first thing would be we have a franchise here where the owner is just, and the Padres maybe in the other direction, not replete with cash and certainly cradled down in this little area where the Dodgers and the Angels fans don't come down and the Chargers are trying to leave. And the Padres have just tried so hard to be good in a division where it's tough chasing the Giants and watching Bochy go up there and put himself into Cooperstown conversations and watch the Dodgers load up and spend money. The Padres tried to do that a year and a half ago to play that game, and I guess the results have been not a mixed bag. It's really been a bad egg all the way around, and now they have to pick up the pieces of spending money foolishly in that offseason 2 years ago.
Right. Well, I don't know if it was foolish because they were really on the field at the time. They were a boring team going nowhere. And it did give the franchise a little bit of cachet that they were trying to do something. It did not work out. And now they face the residual of that, which is they're not very good. And it's going to be hard to move some of these players, but they finally do have some players coming through the system, and they have made a couple good deals recently. I mean, Will Myers now looks to be their representative on the All-Star team, maybe one of two, maybe Fernando Rodney, and they've got Drew Pomeranz coming along. So there's finally some light at the end of the tunnel. It's not going to be a quick fix. They do have to move some contracts. It'd be great if they could trade Kemp and Melvin Upton Jr. because they've got a couple outfielders in the system that look to be ready to make their mark in the majors. They have a catcher named Austin Hedges, but he's backed up right now behind Derek Norris. So they've got to move some people to get this rebuild going.
Well, as far as the money they spent, and I would bring Shields into this, and obviously hasn't been much better for the White Sox than he was in San Diego. I thought that was a front-of-rotation move. And look, you guys are going to see our messes, right, with Jimenez and with Gallardo, and buying pitching on the free agent market. It is really a let the buyer beware. I mean, look at what Cueto's doing up in San Francisco right now, and look at what James Shields became for the Padres and now has become for the White Sox after a long, long stretch of success. I would have loved to have seen James Shields in an Oriole uniform last year.
You have to be very beware signing pitchers to long-term.
I guess in the case of the Padres, it did backfire, but what do you do if you're not growing those arms? You have to go buy them, even if they are named Jimenez or
low A and high A.
Gone last week. Have some sort.
If it's going to be a 67% majority for the stadium to be built, it won't be built and they'll be gone. If it's 50%, they probably have a fighting chance.
Well, and in your mind, having been there for so long, watching this thing play out, Look, Bill, I mean, I was a young man when the Colts left here. I know what we had to do to bring it back. I know you know more than anything out there, the environment, the political environment, and the problems they had with Petco Park and getting built. And I was pretty familiar with that when Larry Lucchino and the Moores family and Dr. Charles Seinberg were out there trying to get that thing built. And I talked to Krasovic about this last week as well, and others in San Diego. Of all the stadia that have been built in this country, baseball, football, basketball, arenas, all of that, where the citizens have footed the bill, been lied to about what it meant for a community. I look at what the Padres have done with that stadium, and we'll see into the All-Star game in a couple of weeks. That's really the one place where a community really did rise up around the stadium. There's a lot of places where they said that would happen, and you come back a decade or 2 decades later and say, what did Camden Yards really do for Baltimore in retrospect? It didn't build a neighborhood, I promise you that. All that was a big ruse and a big lie. It built a lot of money for Mr. Angelos, and that's really all it's done a quarter of a century later.
Well, San Diego has extended out beyond Petco Park, and it's really interesting that when Petco Park was built, it was actually built in an old industrial warehouse area, and the dream was that the gas lamp rebuild, the downtown restructuring of San Diego, would follow the ballpark, and it actually did. That has come to bear fruition. So that part is good. Now to the area just to the east of the ballpark is still not redeveloped yet and is a bit of an eyesore, but the area around the ballpark has become very much the part of central San Diego.
For fans who've been kicked around out there, and, I'm assuming for argument's sake, most Padres fans are Chargers fans and sort of maybe vice versa. I think the Chargers are a bigger brand just based on what they are and playing in the National Football League. But, finding that, this vote is out there, I mean, where do the Padres stand in all of this to really reap the benefits of the Chargers leaving almost, right? I mean, it's not like the Orioles rooted for the Colts to leave, but the Orioles were the big benefactors of that.
Yeah, I don't know if one sports team really benefits from another one leaving, because if one leaves, it leaves such a sour taste in the mouth of all the fans in the area that there's a carryover that I think just really adversely affects the Chargers and the Padres have all,
as the
since you lost.
You've got a couple of teams there with the Dodgers and the Giants. I don't know that the Giants can continue to play like this, but Bruce Bochy has really become a baseball player whisperer since he left you guys down there in the South, right?
Well, he was before. I mean, he was a really good manager when he was here. People just didn't realize it because, it's San Diego. It doesn't get a lot of national attention, but he won the National League pennant in 1998 and just had the misfortune of running up against one of the best teams ever in the 98 Yankees. But he had a winning record with the Padres. He was not a secret when he went to San Francisco, which was really a shame because that was a decision of ownership at that time to let him walk. He did not want to leave. And they said, hey, if you find another... He had just come off of a season, in fact, where he won the National League West title, and management tells him, hey, if you want to walk, go ahead.
I guess if you look at the mistakes the Padres have made over time, and there have been fire sales there have been, going back to Dave Winfield getting away and all that stuff in 84 and 98 and the success they've had. The Bruce Bochy thing of the modern era, that's got to be like, the Orioles sitting around watching Jake Arrieta pitch right now and saying, how did we let that guy get out of here?
Right. Well, the Bochy leaving was one of the all-time that was a really sad moment, and that was management at its worst. That was just a shame how that happened.
Hey, All-Star game coming in a couple of weeks. I don't know if you know this, Bill, but that was supposed to be our All-Star game here in Baltimore. But, of course, Mr. Angelos is suing all of his partners, and they're not real happy with him. San Diego winds up getting this All-Star game. A little revitalization and a chance to show off maybe at a point where it's been a little while since the Padres or San Diego is on the tip of everyone's tongue from a baseball perspective.
Right, and this is downtown. For the All-Star fans visiting San Diego, this is the perfect spot for an All-Star game. You've got dozens of great hotels. You got the waterfront within walking distance of Petco Park. You've got the convention center. This is perfectly suited, perfectly placed for a major event. And San Diego is a major event town.
Well, of course, and you got the Comic-Con there, right? So all
follows
roads lead there, right?
Right. Comic-Con follows the All-Star Game by 1 week, so there will be, they're expecting hundreds of thousands of visitors in 2 weeks to San Diego.
Bill, have a fish taco for me and enjoy the Padres. I'll bust out my mustard brown, jersey here for my Tony Gwynn and doff my cap as I did last week and anger the locals. But, as I say, anytime you wear a Tony Gwynn jersey, you feel pretty good about yourself.
Right. In fact, I know somebody out here who has a Brooks Robinson jersey, so...
Well, we celebrate all the greats, even Ted Williams. Every time I come out to San Diego, I tell my wife I'm going to go up to the park where Ted Williams played.
Right. I've been there.
Bill, I appreciate the time. Always great having you on, man.
Thank you.
You got it. Bill Center, Padres Central is the way to find him out on Twitter as well as Padres.com. He's been covering the Padres through all of their jersey changes. I don't mind these navy blue ones, but when you got something that works, why not go with it? Why aren't they wearing the gold and brown all the time like they're wearing? If you haven't seen the All-Star Game warm-up jerseys, Google that. I did it last week. You're going to dig with Manny Machado, and if Zach Britton makes his way, maybe Tillman as well, if they're All-Stars, you're going to dig their uniforms and their warm-ups if you dig the old Padres look. I saw the White Sox bust out the 1980s Lamar Hoyt look, the Ron Kittle look over the weekend, too. I thought that was pretty sharp. I'm a child of the 80s, so anything that harkens back to my youth, even those ugly Pirates uniforms they wear with the waistbands, I still think they look better than most, I would say, than these pajamas I see some teams wearing. Orioles always look their best on Saturday in the orange as well. You can find me out in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device. Download the TuneIn Radio app. We come in crystal clear from wherever you are, including San Diego, California. Don't forget, our WNST Rock Week will coincide with the All-Star Game. Old interviews with the likes of Billy Joel and John Bon Jovi and David Bowie and many, many more never before aired interviews. You'll hear them here the week of WNST Rock Week, and that's our hashtag out on Twitter as well. You can always email me, nasty@WNST.net, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, wherever you are. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.